Hi, boys and girls. We're looking at lesson 17, and we're on pages 180 and 181 for this lesson. Okay, so last lesson we were looking at writing fractions that represent whole numbers where the numerator was greater than the denominator, and we are looking at the denominator as the number of pieces in each whole. Okay, so today we're going to continue with that kind of work, but it's going to be a little different, but it's still the same in that our denominator is going to be how many pieces the whole is cut into, if it's cut at all. Okay, so let's look at the top of the page. It says learn about writing a whole number as a fraction. It says read the problem, then explore different ways to write a whole number as a fraction with a denominator of 1. Now we've seen lots of fractions with a numerator of 1, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Like we've seen lots of fractions that might look like this, right? 1/6. We call this a unit fraction where, like when we were drawing our models, we would put, if our model had 6 equal pieces, we would name each piece 1/6, saying this piece is one of 6 equal parts. Well, today you're going to see where the denominator is 1 rather than the numerator being 1. Okay, so let me take this out of the way so it doesn't confuse you. But I just want you to notice the difference between the numerator and the denominator. Because remember, that numerator talks about the pieces that you're talking about, either the parts that are shaded, the parts that are not shaded, the part eaten, the part left, whatever the case may be. But remember, the denominator is always how many equal pieces the whole is. Okay? So it says picture it. You can use models to help you write a whole number as a fraction with a denominator of 1. It says each circle stands for 1 green pepper. Okay, so imagine we're in our garden and we have green peppers. So how many green peppers do you see here? Yep, 4. They're not divided into pieces. Each whole has 1 part. So if we want to show this as a fraction, okay, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, and they haven't been cut. They're whole. So we can represent the fraction of 4 over 1. Look, different than 1/4. 1/4 would be 1 pepper cut in 4 equal pieces, and you're talking about one of those pieces. Very different than 4 over 1. 4 over 1 means you have 4. Remember, your numerator is the part you're talking about, the part you're counting. And the denominator is how many equal pieces in the whole. Well, we didn't cut these up. They're whole. They're in one piece. Okay? So it just looks really weird. It looks strange because you haven't seen it before. Okay? You get used to it as time goes on. It says model it. You can use a number line to help you write a whole number as a fraction with a denominator of 1. Now, this kind of looks a little silly. We can definitely show it this way, but when you're just writing 1, 2, 3, or 4, you're not going to put all your numbers with a 1 under it. Just like if you were going to write 322, you wouldn't go like this. Whoops, this should be a 2. Like you could write 322 like this, right? It's not wrong to put these zeros in the thousands and 10,000s column. It's not wrong. You just wouldn't do it. Most of the time, you are not going to be writing fractions like this. I mean, whole numbers like this, unless you needed in math for other reasons, which will happen as you get older. But just to kind of let you know, we don't normally write our whole numbers like this, but there might be times that you need to. And we want you to understand what it means when you see a fraction with a denominator of 1. It means it's one whole piece. Okay? So we can write 1 as 1 over 1. We could write 2 as 2 over 1. We could write 3 as 3 over 1. And we can write 4 as 4 over 1. It says, notice that each whole number has an equivalent fraction. The spaces between whole numbers are not divided into parts, right? We didn't cut these up into fractions. We left them whole, just like we left these green peppers whole. They're not cut up. They're whole numbers. Okay? All right. So let's take a look. It says, look at the models and picture it. Explain how you know each whole only has one part. Let's take a look. Are they cut up at all? They haven't been divided in parts, have they? They're left alone. They're just a little green pepper. So let's write that. Let me get my text box. Okay, so let's say the wholes haven't been divided. Does that sound good? The wholes, whoops, let's go back and make that an S, have not been, oh, come on. Let's do haven't been divided. They're in one piece. Okay, kind of like having a sandwich. Sometimes I'll make a sandwich and I won't cut it in half, right? I can certainly eat an apple without cutting it in half. How many parts do the 4 green peppers make? Well, if I count all 4 green peppers, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts, right? So there, it makes 4 parts. And what does the numerator of a fraction show? That's really the number of parts you have, the number of parts you're counting, however you want to phrase it. I'm going to say the number of parts you have. Okay, sometimes it's the shaded part you're talking about, sometimes it's the not shaded part. Could be the part you are saying that you ate or you didn't eat, whatever the case may be. But really that numerator is the part you're talking about, the part you have perhaps. Okay, what does the denominator of a fraction show? This is any fraction. So the denominator shows us how many equal parts in the whole. Okay, that denominator, or your teachers have been telling you this since we started fractions. It's always, always, always how many equal parts in the whole. So when we're looking at this denominator, remember denominator is down, the bottom number. And that denominator always tells you how many equal pieces. So since these haven't been cut, it's a 1 in the denominator position, okay? All right, so it says write a fraction equivalent to 1. Use it to help. Okay, so we want the number of parts at the top and the number of equal parts at the bottom. It has to equal 4. So how many of those green peppers did we have? We had 4. And how many equal parts were each pepper? 1, right? So we should have 4 over 1. Let me write it over here so you could see it better. 4 over 1. Okay, is another way to say 4. Another way to write 4. Okay, explain how to write a whole number as a fraction with a denominator of 4. All right, so what's the first thing that we do? What did we do when we started here? We counted, what did we get this for? Right? We counted the number of peppers that we had, right? We counted the number, and then we looked at, for the denominator, we looked at how many pieces each were. All right, so let's find a way to say that. Maybe we say you, or let's say the numerator is the number of parts and the denominator is the number of parts in each whole. So if it stayed whole and it hadn't been cut, it's 1 part. Okay, kind of an unusual thing to learn, right? A little tricky, little hard to get used to at first, but you get used to it as we go. All right, question 22 says try it. Use what we learned to solve these problems. use the model below, write a fraction equivalent to 6. So we're saying there's 6 here, and we want a fraction that is equal to 6 and represents this picture, okay? So how many do we have here? How many wholes? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're counting that. And then let's look how many equal parts is each one. They're not cut, right? Each part is in one piece. This is one piece, 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 and this is one piece. So it would be 6 over 1. I'm going to write it over here so you have a little more room to see it. Can't seem to write 6 is very nice with this tool. That's a little better. Okay, it says draw a model to show 5 equals 5 over 1. So we're going to draw 5, whatever you want to draw, and each of them have to be in one piece. Don't cut anything up. Okay, try to make your holes the same size too. I'm going to make little strawberries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So see how I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them that I counted, and they're each in one piece. They haven't been cut. Okay, so another way we can represent whole numbers is we can just put a denominator of 1. So if I wanted to say 70 as a fraction, I just put 70 as the numerator, and I put a 1 as the denominator. This fraction is equal to 70. Okay, it works with any number. So any whole number goes at top, and then if you put a denominator of 1, it's a way to show a whole number as a fraction. All right, until next time, boys and girls.